Good morning, YouTube world. I'm your host, Paul Italia. We got a very special guest on here today. She is one of the top female arm wrestlers in the world. I'd like to welcome Sarah Backman to my channel.
Thank you, Paul. Nice to be here.
Thank you, Sarah. So, Sarah, I know that you recently suffered from an injury. I just wanted to get an update and what happened.
Yeah, so I walked around and trained with this injury for a year before I did anything about it, but I tore my subscapularis on my left arm, and which is the exact same injury I had on my right arm 3 years ago. Uh, it started out as a partial tear, and I was in pain. I couldn't pull with it, but I kept training. I did pull-ups, rope climbs, everything, and gradually it just tore a bit more, like over time. And after a year, I got an MRI, and it was completely torn off the bone. So I had the surgery 9 weeks ago now.
Okay.
So
Now,
rehab.
now you said you were training. It happened around a year ago, you think, is when it first begun?
Yeah, it's I started noticing pain in December 2021.
Now, how did that affect your training? Were you able to do everything the same amount of weights, or was it really slowing you down?
Yeah, no, I kept doing, like double stuff, like pull-ups, anything like barbell curls, things like that. I kept doing that, but I haven't pulled with my left arm for like a year and a half now. Like I haven't been training my left arm by itself like I do with my right. Like it's been gone for a year and a half, and it's crazy it's been that long, but that's the reality.
Well, the one thing I got to say is I'm same boat as you. I did both arms and all that, and when you train one at the other arm, it seems to maintain the size and strength kind of on the left. So you're probably not too far off and everything. So when
Yeah.
do you expect to get back in the sport with your left hand and all?
Yeah, so I met with a surgeon last week, and he said because I went so long training with the injury and it gradually tore more and more, my tendon was like ground beef. It said it was very shattered. It was hard. It's a way worse injury than on my right side, so it's gonna be a little bit longer recovery. I'm gonna be able to start training with it in July.
Okay.
So that's a long time. That's like 6 months of rehab before I can even start training with it again. I'm a little nervous because I have a match in August. But I mean, I keep training my right arm every day. I'm strong. It's just, but I wish I could prepare for longer. Doing pull-ups and rope climbs and my specialty training. So
Now, who's the match in August against?
Heidi Cordner from Canada.
Oh wow, that's another legend of the sport. That's going to be a good one. What do you what do
Yeah,
you what do you expect for that? And what is your training looking like since you're not going to be able to use your left really?
yeah. So I expect I expect um, I'm not sure. Like I don't know how her training has been really. So I really don't know. I know she's strong, very strong. But I think I am stronger than ever, and I'm planning on getting stronger until then. So I'm not going there to lose by any means. Like I'm going all in. I'm taking it very serious. So
So
we'll
how
see.
many times a week are you hitting table time, and what's your gym lifts looking like?
Yeah, so I do table time twice a week, Thursdays and Sundays, and then I train my right arm 3 to 4 days outside of that. The bicep curl, wrist curls. I have this new thing. I do at least 100 reps of wrist curls every day, um, in one type of wrist exercise, and I've done that now for a couple months, and I have noticed extreme, like what do you call it, growth, I guess, in my strength. So that's cool. And 100 reps is not that much. It takes less than 10 minutes, and it's very easily incorporated. So
You see big gains from that with the 100 reps?
Yeah, definitely. I do it like I just pick one exercise for the day, and it has to be a wrist curl exercise, and I do at least 100 reps, and I break it up depending on how heavy I go. I break it up 10 sets of 10, or 5 sets of 20, or 4 sets of 25, depending on how sore I am. I break it up like that, and I just go.
Now you said you're hitting table time twice a week. That's a lot. How
Mhm.
does that work out? Are you going hard on both days, or is one day more of a technique day?
Yeah, I definitely try to go as hard as my recovery and like my body lets me for the day. Um, Usually, like I just need a very long warm up. If I'm extremely sore, I need a longer warm up, and then I'm ready to go. But of course, I'm not 100% every time, you know. So some days are a little bit slower than the other days, but I try to push myself every time.
And how many hours a day are you putting in the gym when you're hitting the gym?
It's not that much, to be honest with you. I'm not like, since with my injury and stuff, like I'm so limited on what I can do, but I do at least 5 exercises for my right arm. So it's usually about an hour or so.
Wow, that's a big difference because I know how you train. You're usually in
Hmm.
there hours a day and really put in
Hmm.
the hard work. I got
Yeah.
the I got to train with you that one time, and that was amazing. I was so impressed with you. I couldn't
Hmm.
believe how much work you put in, and I was ready to die by the end of it. Definitely pushed me that day. Now I want to find out about your story of how you found arm wrestling.
Yeah. So it was, I know the exact day and time and everything. It was November 19, um, 2006. And I had won an arm wrestling tournament in school, like in high school. I was 14 years old, and I won the competition, and everybody was like, "Wow, you're really good at that. Maybe you should do it, for real." And I didn't know you could do it like as a professional, whatever. But I looked up this Team Stockholm Arm Wrestling, and I went there, and it was a Sunday, like I said, November 19, 2006. I went there with my mom, and I remember seeing Malin Bergström Kleinsmith. I remember seeing her. She was the coach there, and Fia Isaac was there training too. And I remember watching them, and I was like, I was so impressed. They looked so muscular and they climbed the ropes. And at that point, I had never seen anything cooler in my entire life, like strong women just going at it. And I remember feeling like, oh my God, I want to be one of them. And after that day, I became obsessed, and it was all I thought about. I started training. Um, After 3 months, I had my first tournament. I won that. After 5 months, I won Swedish nationals as an adult. As a 15-year-old, I won the women class too. And like, I just made a wave because I was so like, I found my thing. I was obsessed. And the rest is just history. I've been, traveling the world for 17 years, and it's been taking me places like that I wouldn't have not been. I wouldn't be in the United States. I wouldn't live in Florida now had it not been for arm wrestling. So I owe my life to the sport for sure.
Now, where did you grow up? Where in Sweden is that?
I was born and raised in Stockholm, Sweden. That's
Okay.
the capital.
Now it's funny that you said that you ran into Malin because it just remembered I did an interview about a year back with Malin and Fia, and they actually told this story of their perspective and all. So
Hmm.
you definitely reminded me of that one.
Hmm.
Now, did you were you an athlete in high school and growing up at all?
Oh no, I was I mean I was a gymnast. I did gymnastics for like 7, 8 years as a little girl, but nothing serious. And I was always obese or like overweight growing up. And so when I started arm wrestling, I was like, I was a big girl. I hated sports. But when I found arm wrestling, I just naturally lost the weight because of all the training. And as I lost the weight, the more I got interested in nutrition and the gym and stuff. And I did my transformation like that.
I would never have guessed you would have been overweight, just the way you look now and
Hmm.
the way you love to train. But I was in the
Right.
same boat growing up too. I was the
Hmm.
chubby kid, and
Hmm.
once I found weights, I just got obsessed with them.
Hmm.
Um, so how many years have you been pulling now? So has it been
So
like,
17. This is my 17th year.
wow, okay. And now I remember reading that you were a WWE wrestler. Can you kind of tell me about that, how that all came about?
Yeah, so in 2013, I was taking a small break from arm wrestling. I had just won my 8th world title, and that was like 6 or 7 years of just obsession of arm wrestling. And I decided, I was injured, my elbows were so sore, so I decided to take a little break. And so I bought a one-way ticket to California, and I stayed for 3 months in a hotel on Venice Beach, and I trained at Gold's Gym every day. And it was like I just wanted to change of scenery and just try something new. And one day at Gold's Gym, this guy, Chris Bell, if you're familiar with powerlifting or seen the documentary Bigger, Stronger, Faster, he approached me one day at Gold's Gym, and he was like, "Hey, I think you got what it takes to be a WWE diva or superstar, whatever. Would you like to come to an audition?" Uh, and I was like, sure. And at that point, I had no idea what WWE was, because that's not big in Sweden. I had never really seen it. I had no knowing of what that was. But I was like, sure, why not? I went to an audition, and they had me do these moves in the ring and talk to the camera. And I'm telling you, my audition, like, it's so embarrassing, because I was very bad with the English language. Like, I didn't speak very well. And, I've done the arm wrestling move for 7 years at that time, but I wasn't an athlete, but they loved what they saw, because they hired me on the spot.
Wow.
So they're like, yeah, we want you. So I went home to Sweden and arranged everything with the visa, work visa, and I sold my apartment and got everything ready. And I moved to Florida in November 2013. And I did that for like 7 months, but it wasn't my thing. Every day was like, I knew in my heart that this is not my thing. This is not what I want to do. So I only lasted with WWE for about 7 months before I was like, hey, no, this is not it for me. So I quit.
That's an amazing story. And when I was living in New York and I wanted to get into the fitness, that's kind of what I did too. I moved out to Venice Beach, and I lived in a hotel over there for 6 months, and I used to train with Charles
Yep.
Glass every week.
Charles
And then,
Glass, yeah, he was at the gym every day. Yep.
yep.
Oh,
Then I went from there, moved to Miami, and I became a fitness model after that.
cool. Yeah, so we have a little similar story. That's cool.
There you go. Also want to know who your 3 favorite arm wrestlers growing up were.
Yeah, it would be Heidi Anderson. She was the whole reason I started. If you don't know who Heidi Anderson is, she's the cousin of Thea Racek. Heidi Anderson, I think, is a 12-time world champion. She has been arm wrestling her entire life. She lives up in a village in the north part of Sweden, and they're like 20 people living in this village, and everybody's related to each other, and everybody arm wrestles. And she actually made a movie. They made a movie about her, a documentary that is being shown worldwide. But it was huge in Sweden. And I remember as a 14-year-old, I watched her movie, and I was like mind blown. I wanted to be her. So she was always like my biggest inspiration growing up. And it was so cool, like a couple of years into the sport, when we actually like became, we're not close friends by any means, but it was cool. Like we traveled together, and like it was cool that my idol became my friend and my opponent, even, because we competed sometimes in the same weight class. So that's cool. I've always admired Malin and Thea too. Just the passion they have for the sport. They have, stuck with it for so long and kept the motivation up and won a lot of titles. So the Swedish girls in general, I always admire their work ethic and stuff. And then of course we have Irina Makieva from Russia. I don't know if she's 25 times world champion, barely lost any matches. Just incredible athlete. So that's like my top 3, 4, I guess.
Now, did you have any mentors or coaches? Because I know you were trained with Malin and Fia. Were they kind of coaching you during this time?
Yeah, Marlin was the coach of the Team Stockholm Arm Wrestling when I started, but unfortunately, fortunately, I don't know how to say it, but like when I started, she got married at the same time and had a baby, and she was gone for like 10 years. I mean, she saw she followed arm wrestling, during this time, but I don't have much travel experience with Marlin because when I took off, she was gone being a mom and stuff. But she definitely helped coaching me in the beginning. Fia for sure was my best training partner for years. We trained together like weekly for 6-7 years. I have a lot to thank to Fia. But yeah, that's about it. I've been kind of on my own a lot in arm wrestling. I mean, you talk a lot with other people and stuff, but I haven't really had a specific coach that has been with me during the entire time. It's always been people coming in and out depending on where I'm at in life and stuff. So,
how many world titles do you have total?
I have 8 WAF world titles. And I don't know, like so many people count different things, but I have also 6 Slotty Tour Cup world titles. And I mean, that's the biggest, or was at the time, the biggest world professional arm wrestling competition in the world. But yeah, 8 WAF world titles.
Wow. And now, would you consider yourself the #1 arm wrestler from Sweden?
I don't know. I haven't arm wrestled with the girls from Sweden in so long. I have no idea where we are in relation to each other. I know I'm probably one of the heavier ones. Usually, if you're one of the heavier in the heavyweight class, you're stronger, but it's hard to say. It's hard to know. But also, I haven't lived in Sweden for 10 years, so I don't even know if we can consider myself from Sweden anymore. Like I've been in the United States for 10 years now. So.
Okay. Yeah, I would love to see that one day. Maybe a match with you and Fia or Malin.
Yeah, right. That would be awesome.
I know it's not proper to ask a lady their weight and all, but I know you're an athlete and all. So
yeah,
what weight class? What weight are you, and what do you normally compete at?
I'm 180 pounds, so I usually cut down to 176, 80 kilo. Okay. That's where I've been now for years, and my body seemed to like this weight, and I like how I look. I like how I feel. I like the way to feel strong at this weight too. So this is where I feel comfortable.
Okay. Now, changing topic, I want to talk about the big match coming up at East versus West, and that's Devin versus Gennady. And just want your thoughts and predictions on that one.
Yeah, so I think it's a best of 6 or best of 5, or what is it?
Best of 5.
Best of 5. I think Devin is gonna win just because. I mean, I know Gennady is amazing and an amazing athlete and stuff, but I just look at Devin as another level. So I think Gennady.
Hold on, I think you froze up a little.
Get one win in.
Hold on, Sarah. We gotta go. Dude, gotta say that again because we lost service for a second there.
Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry. No, I think Devin is gonna win all of it. Gennady might get one win in, but I think Devin is gonna come in like 3-0.
Okay. Where do you think that Gennady has a chance? You think maybe like that first round, maybe he surprises him with an explosive hit or something?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think if Devin comes in prepared, he will be prepared. I don't think you can be mentally stronger than Devin is, and Devin is Devin, and that's how I look at it. So I don't know. I wish Gennady best of luck, but I really think Devin got this.
You think Devin's going to be playing his games in the setup and all and messing with Gennady's head?
100%.
That's definitely. So after Devin the Devin Gennady match, who would you like to see Devin go against next? And I'm going to give you a couple people: Dave Chafee, Dennis Saplenko, or Hermes.
Ooh, probably Hermes, just because both have recently pulled Levan, and I think that would be the next step to see who is better.
Okay. Now, how come you're not as active on social media like Devin is? Because the reason why I say that is I feel like you could be the #1 ambassador in the world for women's arm wrestling. How come you never wanted to take that role?
I mean, to be very this is private, but to be brutally honest with you, I have struggled a lot with my mental health for the past couple of years, and I haven't felt like myself really. I have been in a very dark place. I'm recently now coming out of it, and I'm getting my life back. It seems like I'm getting my motivation back. I'm accepting matches. I'm actually doing an interview with you. Usually I would dodge you, so I'm definitely coming back to things because I'm doing a lot better. But that's the main reason I haven't been doing well mentally, and I have struggled. And if I struggle, I don't have much to show the world, in my opinion. So
now, does it mess with you? Do you get a lot of hate and trolls when you put yourself out there? Because I definitely witness a lot of that. Putting myself out there, you definitely get a lot of haters, that people that don't know you and they just judge you right off the bat. Do you feel that as a point? Yeah.
Yeah, I get very discouraged with social media at times because of all the trolls and the haters and the people just sit behind a screen and think that they can write whatever they want, and there's no repercussions, because they're protected by the screen. And I have learned over the years not to take it to heart. And so now if I read something, I just brush it off better than I've ever had. But it definitely is discouraging when all I'm trying to do is to show a little bit of my life and what I'm doing to reach my goals, and people are there to shit on you. It's come on, just, if you don't like what you see, just keep scrolling. You don't have to be mean.
Yeah, the internet is definitely a pretty hard world. Would you say that your outlet to getting away from all your stress and all is your gym and arm wrestling and working out? Is that a big part of therapy, would you say?
Oh, absolutely. It always have been, especially arm wrestling. It's my favorite day. Like tonight, we have arm wrestling practice. It's my favorite day of the week, because for 2 hours, I just get to leave everything outside and just focus on what I love the most and have fun with it, and be surrounded by like-minded people that just want to have a good time and get stronger, So it's definitely therapy.
How many people do you have at a normal practice?
We're usually between 10 and 12 people at any given practice. So it's definitely growing.
And is it the same people that hit both days each week, or you got different?
No. Yeah, I have different people. I'm actually the only one that do the 2 a week.
That's so funny. And I bet you they're all men too, and you beat them up and they can't. Yeah, they can't get back on the table for at least a week, but you're on 3 days later.
Yeah.
I love it. Are you the strongest on your team?
I mean, it's so hard to say this. I'm the only girl, but yeah, I'm definitely one of the stronger ones, I would say. And I think people know this too. I have a lot of guests that fly in from different places and stuff, and I love that. I love that people take their time to come and visit me and my place, But as far as my regular group, I want to say I'm maybe in the top of strength, and I'm usually the one making sure everybody else gets training.
Well, I'm going to be staying in Florida mid-April to the rest of the year. I'm opening up a couple of businesses there. So I'll definitely be taking a trip up there if you won't mind. And I'd love to get on the table with you guys and get some training in.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Yeah, because last time I believe I was just coming off one of the surgeries and all, so I was at
Hmm.
50%, and we
Yeah,
had a gym day and all, but I would have loved to get on the table, so we definitely got to do
absolutely.
that. The other question is, where do you see arm wrestling going in the next 5 years?
I mean, arm wrestling is blowing up. I think it's gonna be like a sport to be reckoned with. Like now, when you mentioned arm wrestling, you were an arm wrestler years ago. People would be like, "You're what?" Like they wouldn't know arm wrestling is a sport. But because how big it is getting, like on social media, and we have so many athletes now, showing, being public figures and stuff. I meet a lot of people that are like, they have heard of arm wrestling. They know it's a sport. They have seen it on TV at some point. So I think it's just gonna keep growing. There's gonna be more events, high caliber events. Hopefully more money in the sport too, so people can start doing it maybe you know full time and stuff, like other sports. Um, so
Yeah,
it's definitely, yeah.
when I say arm wrestling, about like 2 years ago, people were like, "Oh, that's a thing," but now
Hmm.
recently, the first couple of people they say is, "Oh, Devin Lorette, or do you know Sarah Bachman?"
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I mean, you guys are definitely our ambassadors that a
Hmm.
lot of people know of, and
Hmm.
that are not just arm wrestlers. That's why I encourage you, if of course, your mental health comes first and all, but if you get in a good place, I really encourage you to get yourself out there, because
Hmm.
you definitely could spread the sport, and I
Hmm.
really truly believe you could be the Devin Lorette for the females and just get
Hmm.
so many more women into the sport.
Hmm. Hmm. I mean, that's awesome that you think that. I like that's makes my heart very happy. Hopefully when my shoulder heals and I can get back like in my real self and really train to my full potential, I can start making more content. It's just so hard when you're limited. One arm is no out of action. You can only do so much. It sucks.
Now, did you see that recently Devin went to his son's high school and they threw a big tournament there? Did you get to see that at all?
No, I didn't.
All
That's
right, well,
awesome.
yeah, I'm gonna catch you up on that. So Devin had his son Auden, and they threw a big high school tournament, and they got a huge turnout. All everybody pulled. Auden won all his classes, and Devin did it all on social media, and it's kind of going around everywhere. So the reason why I bring that up to you is, would that be something that you might be interested in? Maybe once you're healed up, maybe see if you could get some of these high school kids into it. Because I truly believe that if you went there, I mean, you would set waves off. I think that would go viral. I think all the young female girls would get into arm
Mhm.
wrestling then and see it as something they could take seriously and come athletes with. Would that be something you'd consider maybe one day?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, arm wrestling, it's like full circle, because arm wrestling started for me in high school, in the school. So that would be almost like a dream, that would be fantastic.
So that might be a project we could get on when I get down there. Maybe we could go over and I could talk to a few of the schools down there and see maybe if
Very
we get
cool.
like a big seminar and maybe set up a tournament and just
Wow.
draw a lot of eyes on it and get arm
Hmm.
wrestling going in Florida and all the high school kids into it.
I love it.
Perfect. Moving on to the next topic is Hermes Gasparini. And did you get to watch that match between Levon and Hermes?
Hmm.
And what was your thoughts on that? Were you really shocked at the war that it came into? Because if you listened to before, we thought it was going to be Levon dominating like he does
Hmm.
every time.
That's what I thought. Yeah, that's what I thought for sure. I was extremely proud of Hermes for pulling off what he did. Um, just showing like what a phenomenal athlete he is, and that anything is possible if you just believe in yourself enough. He believed in himself, and he showed everybody that the impossible can be done. So like sometimes, like for example with me and Gabby, everybody has seen that match twice now, and I know in my heart I can beat her. I know this, like so it means a lot, like for me to see Hermes being that close to Levon, because you think the gap is that far, but it's really not, like it's right there. So
I
it
think
gives
I think you
desire.
showed that in that match with Gabby, you know, in those later rounds, you started, I think, figuring out the answer, you know, and what would you do now if you went up against her? Would you change anything? Would you
Yeah.
train any different?
Yes. Okay. So I mean, I think I'm strong inside. I know I'm strong inside. Gabby's is stronger. Um, but if I can actually, fun fact, today is 1 year ago. No, I'm lying. April 2nd is 1 year ago, the matches, but it's coming up. Because I got memories on Facebook that a year ago today I did my photo shoot in Dubai and stuff for the match. I can't believe it's been a year. But anyways, if I can redo the match, like I'm gonna go outside a lot harder, a lot faster from the get-go. I don't have any business on the inside with her. And that's all I'm training to, pronation. So
Now, let me ask you, would you gain any weight or anything? Because we know that Gabby's, you know, she's built like a Sherman tank. She's a power lifter. She, I believe she was at like 200-pound mark at the East versus West last. Would you need to gain any size, or would you stay the size you are and rely more on speed and technique?
yeah, I don't like being heavier. Like I don't feel good, and I believe also that you don't have to be like overweight in order to be stronger. Because if I feel bad in my body and carrying myself, it's not going to translate into good feeling, strength, power. You know, I've been big before, and I have felt strong, but like being stable, like I'm still eat whatever I want. I just make sure that I train. You know, like I'm not on a diet by any means. Like I'm not starving myself. I'm just living. You know, and so I wouldn't gain any weight. Maybe like a couple pounds. Maybe I'll go up to like 185, adding a little bit more. But like I don't want to have to change clothes and you know, go up in sizes in clothes and stuff to for a match. Like that's not me.
Would you ever consider maybe doing powerlifting? Because I know that more of your training would be more like arm
Mm-hmm.
wrestling specific, but also bodybuilding mix, you know, where Gabby's going more, I think, with the powerlifting style. Would you ever, you know, focus on powerlifting at all?
I mean, a couple months ago, I kind of had a um, what do you call it? Like I was going through, you know, a lot with my mental health. I didn't enjoy arm wrestling as much anymore. It was right after the Gabby match. I felt, you know, discouraged with my loss. I had to train for that match for so long, and I didn't win. And I was kind of down on myself. And I decided that let me try powerlifting. So I hired a powerlifting coach, and I started training powerlifting. And I did that for like 4 months, maybe. And then the arm wrestling passion started to wake up again, and I started to, you know, desire arm wrestling. So I kind of pushed powerlifting aside. Um, I don't think I will ever do a meet. Like I'm just not interested. My training over the 17 years have been very powerlifting based, uh, but not so much anymore because of my injury and stuff like that. But I'm just more into arm wrestling now. Like I I train my wrist and my right arm, and that's I don't do much bodybuilding at all anymore. Like I just want to be a strong here, you know.
The reason why I bring up powerlifting, because powerlifting, I feel like, really puts the strain on the tendons and builds up the
Mm-hmm.
tendons. So, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't expect you to do any meets or anything, but, you know, maybe that training, you know, could help you out with building more strength in the tendons and all
Absolutely.
that.
Sure. True. That's true. Very true.
And let me ask
Yeah.
you, the couple of months that you did the powerlifting, did you see that translate to the table at all? Were you any stronger on the table, or pretty much the same?
Yeah. Um, I believe you have to combine the two to see any, you know, but yeah, like when I have trained a lot of like heavy powerlifting, heavy deadlifts, heavy bench in the past, combined with arm wrestling, I definitely notice more confidence in my setup and general power, the explosiveness and things like that. So I definitely think it can help.
What are three exercises that you say that should be a staple to every arm wrestler's routine?
Okay. it's going to be rope climbs / pull-ups, either or both. I think that's like the number one thing. And number two would be like a wrist curl. And a three would be some type of pronation, if it's like a static pronation or reps. But I feel like any type of static holds will make you stronger. So if you hold like super heavy in your angle, or pronation style, like make sure you don't lose your pronator, and you push max effort, like of course you're going to be stronger and not being able to lose your hand, so that's my three.
What do you consider for your hand? What builds the hand the most? Is it that rope climbing that you do and the pull-ups?
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely.
Now, I remember when we did the pull-ups together, you were putting up crazy weight. We were going back and forth, challenging each other, and getting bigger and bigger kettlebells, that we got to the point where you didn't have any bigger kettlebells at the gym.
Yeah.
What is your rep range looking like, and what kind of weight are you putting on? I know you got the injury and all, but before that, what were you doing? Yeah.
I would hang 72 pound kettlebell on me and do like 5 reps.
Nice. And now with the rope climbs, what goes on with the rope climb? Do you do reps with them? Do you put weighted vest on?
I would alternate depending on like what week it was and how I felt, but sometimes I would add like a 35 or 45 pound weight onto myself and climb it. And sometimes I just do for speed. I do the jump rope. So I try to get from the ground up to the ceiling as fast as I possibly can for the explosiveness. That's my favorite type of training.
Okay. Now, what other exercise do you do for your hand specifically? Or is that pretty much the base for building the hand, and then arm wrestling on the table?
Yeah, that, and I have so many different grips attachments that I put into cable, and I like there's different sizes, thickness, different, like they're cones. Some are the cone and some are just super like a ball. And depending on the day, I would just pick a new handle and do it from a different angle, curls and different grips, hands.
So pretty much you find one tool to work with a day, and you just kind of do them throughout the day. Is that pretty much how it sounds?
Yes.
Okay. Now I want to get back to because we were talking about the Hermes and Levon, and we kind of got sidetracked with all the training, because I love training, so I love always talking about that. But did Hermes find Levon's kryptonite in your eyes that day, with that being the flop press? Do you think that might be a chink in Levon's armor?
Possibly. I think Levon's endurance is a matter too. So he's just so big. He's so like a big man, and you get a lot of acid if you strain anything, So he's that type of guy that needs to get a match over with quickly in order to last longer. So if there's any type of match, it's going to cost.
What is some suggestions for him for endurance? Because I look at you and I can see you being a real endurance person, with your long marathon training that you do and all that. What could you do to up your endurance?
I mean, general cardio, possibly, maybe go for a brisk walk. I don't know, a man of that size, I don't know what he's capable to do, but general cardio maybe, and just maybe I don't know how his training is specifically, but if his style is super matches, if that's what he prefers and have contracts for and whatnot, I would just train like that. I would have table time and do max effort for a minute or two, and then I would take 2-minute break and go back at it and do 6 rounds. I would train for that format, and be very specific with the resting period. Like, I think you only get 2 minutes, right? So that's the time you have to recover, and then I would go at it again.
Now, what do you think between the match between Levon and Artem Morozov? How do you think that's going to end up?
You said Levon and Morozov?
Yeah.
I think Morozov is definitely like up and coming and somebody to count on, but at this point in time, I think Levin is gonna beat him pretty easily.
Yeah, it might be a little too early for Artem. Maybe another couple of years, and he might be the guy. Okay, so the next match that we got coming up in, believe it's going down in July, and that's going to be Hermes versus Jerry Caderet. What's your thoughts on that match?
Oh wow, how fun to begin with! Like cool match. I don't know. I love both. Both are friends of mine. So it's like hard to like make or take a pick, whatever. But I really don't know. I think it's gonna be very even. It's gonna be like one of those 45-minute matches. It's just insane what Jerry do with his wrist, and he can stay in that position for so long and just apply that pressure for so long. He may give Hermes a battle, but I think Hermes is very smart, and I think he studies his opponents very well, and he comes very prepared. Like for 3 years now, we've seen him just kill it, So I think Hermes may win like maybe 3-2.
Okay. Now, who do you think is a better style? Would it be, who do you think is going to be harder for Jerry? I think Hermes might be a harder style for Jerry to get through, but I actually think that Jerry might give Levon a real run for his money just because of the styles, and that we saw that Hermes kind of found that the flop press might be an area that Levon is a little weaker in and might have some vulnerabilities. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, it's possible. It's absolutely possible.
Would you think that Jerry might be the guy that could crack Levon if he opens him up and gets on that bicep?
It's possible. I mean, at this time, I really don't know. When was the last time Jerry had a match? It was last year, right?
Yeah, it was against Georgie. It was but he was coming off an injury. He didn't get to lift any weights. It was just pure table time. What's happened since then that a lot of people don't know, and me being in Jerry's training camp, Jerry has, a lot of people count him out now because of his performance with Georgie, and they don't realize that he was coming off an injury and he wasn't putting in the work weight-wise, and he didn't want to back out of that match. So he kind of underestimated Georgie, but now he has a fire under him. I mean, this man is really hardcore training. He's got RBJ coming up weekly. They're on the table together. He was just over at Dave Morocco's. So he's putting in the work now, and he's back to bench pressing, and he's starting to put up some crazy numbers. I think we're going to be putting out some videos in the next couple of weeks, keeping everybody up to date with his training and all. So the one thing it definitely did, it did light a fire under him. So we are going to see a very trained up Jerry for Hermes, and I could guarantee that one.
Wow. I love it. I can't wait.
So I want to now move on to the rankings and who you see as the biggest threat to your style. And I just want to read off the rankings in the right arm, female arm wrestling, top of the world right now. And that'd be Barboza at number 1, Gabby at number 2, 3, Egley, and you at number 4. So out of those 3 women, who do you think presents the biggest problem style-wise to you?
Definitely. I mean, I have pulled Egley a lot of times earlier, like 10 years ago. And she was always intimidating to me because of her size. Her long arm she's very lengthy, and we're the same weight now. But her length, like she's just a very tall woman, and same with Barbara. I never met Barbara, so it's hard, but I saw, I've seen on videos. That's not fun for me. Like the when they post up so much and come with all that pressure.
So I would think I'm gonna say Egle just because I have gone against her for so long, many times, and I've never beaten her. So if I can beat Egle now, like that would be like a dream coming true for me. That's gonna be like mind blowing. So I'm gonna say Egle.
Yeah, Egli, I got to meet her at East vs. West 4, and when I grabbed her hand, I couldn't believe the strength of her hand. Her hand is just insane, you know. So would you say it's the taller athletes give you a little more problem style-wise?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So if you had to pull one of them next, who would you want to pull?
Probably Egle.
Okay. And now who out of all of them would be the least one you'd want to pull? Or for right now in the next 3 months or so?
I mean, probably Gabby, just because it's been the go-to match now for two times over 4 years. It would be fun with something new, but I mean, every match has its place and time, right? So like, I feel like Egle and I deserve each other right now because we both lost to Gabby. None of us are deserving to go against Barbara right now because Barbara beat Gabby, you know? So like, I think me and Egle needs to go against each other first, and the winner of us needs to go against Gabby, and the winner of Gabby and that needs to go against Barbara. That's how I look at the rank. Like, that's how it needs to happen.
Now, do you still have the fire to be number one in the world?
Oh my God, it's so funny. Like, it's always been there, right? Like, it's been smaller at times and very big at times. But I have said since the day I started arm wrestling 17 years ago, my number one goal is to at least once in my life be the number one girl in the world. You know, no matter what. Like, yes, the world championship and all is cool, but like I want to be the Levon of the world. You know, and Gabby held that title, and now it's Barbara. So yes, I definitely want that title.
I'm glad to hear that. Who is your favorite arm wrestler today to watch and why?
I love watching Gabby. I wish she would post more content of herself, arm wrestling and stuff, because I think that she's very like she's so powerful. And I'm just curious, like I'm just interested to see what she does on the table because I have personally felt her, and I know how strong I am. So it's just I'm so impressed by her strength. So I enjoy watching her pull. But like technique wise, I would say Irina Makieva. She's retired now. But Irina Makieva from Russia. She has a very beautiful style arm wrestling. Her wrist is so strong. She just bends it, pull it towards herself, and pin her opponent. And her style is just perfect. So.
Now, if you were able to get mentored by anybody in this world today, who would it be?
Probably Irina Makieva.
Okay. So we're putting that out in the universe. Maybe she'll contact you and maybe we can make that happen.
Oh, wow. Could you imagine? That'd be awesome.
So now I wanted to ask you about competition prep. What do you do, leading up to a match and day of the match? And the reason why I asked this is this weekend coming up, I'm going to be competing in my first tournament. And, I'm just trying to get pointers from people like you and all.
Okay. Let's say you train super hard, you're ready, it's 1 week out. I would have my last table session about 1 week before. A lot of people just have 10 days, but I think 1 week is enough for myself. I recover pretty quick. And then I would do gym training, arm wrestling exercises, but light. So it would be like a deload week leading up to it. I would work a lot on explosiveness. I would do my rope jumps. I would do sprints, anything that alerts the nervous system, because I rely a lot on my speed in a match. So I would also make sure that my nutrition is on point, you know. But I know you're good with that. Do you have to cut weight?
No, I'm big as hell right now. I've been just massing up. I'm up at 200 pounds because that's the weight class cutoff. So, I put on like 15 pounds in the last like month, and it's driving me nuts. My face, everything is fat, and I feel I lost my abs. But that's how I'm taking arm wrestling serious, because I've never not had abs, and now they're hiding. They're in hibernation right now, and I'm going all in on this. And the other thing that I changed is, in the last year, I stopped completely bodybuilding. Everything I do is arm wrestling specific. I've built up my hand. I've really put a lot of focus in that. Doesn't open up no more. So, I'm definitely a lot stronger, and I've been hitting table time once a week. I've been going down into the city and just bringing the table and arm wrestling the public, and, just really putting a lot of work in on the table.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted
good for you. I mean,
thank you, Sarah. And I can't wait to get down over by Florida and, get a couple of sessions in with you and kind of pick your brain on the table, because, you've always been one of my idols, and I can't believe what you do. I remember that time, one of the first events that I threw in Texas, and I remember you took all the 176 guys that just won the tournament, and you brought them on the side table and you lined them up and you went through every single one of them, and my mouth just dropped. And before that, I was planning, when I met you, to get on the table with you, but after seeing that, I was really scared that day, and I was like, hell no. I was like, I've never seen anything like that. That was the first time I've ever seen a female just come in and just dominate. And I mean, these guys were no slouches. They just won the tournament. It was number 1, 2, and 3 that won. And you literally just lined them up. And it was just, what a show that was that day to see that.
That's funny. Yeah, that's funny.
Now, what do you think of possibility of the WAL coming back? Because I've been hearing a lot of rumors out there and people talking, and, I had Cobra on our show yesterday, and, he said that he just got text from Steve Copeland, and, he had a conversation with him, and he was just kind of hinting at it. There was definitely going to be something going on with WAL. Would you welcome that happening? And have you heard anything like that?
I definitely think they could come back. But what they did in 2017, they're pretty unreliable. Like, they go all in and then they back out, and it's been like this for 10 years now. So, I mean, if they come back, I welcome it back. I'll be part of it for sure. But I don't rely on them or count on them to come back. But I think what they're doing is, I mean, anybody that's helping arm wrestling grow in any way deserves respect and credit in my book. I think that's fantastic that they're willing to do such a production for us.
The reason why I say that is we have all these great matches going on with East versus West, King of Table and all. But, I've been really focusing on, I really want to iron out the rankings here in the United States and just kind of get some action back here in North America. Right now, I'm throwing some events, this Saturday, I'll be throwing super matches and all. But I don't really have the time right now. I'm moving down to Florida, and I'm going to be opening up some businesses. As soon as I get all that locked in and I'm all done with that, then I would go, maybe to the next level and start an organization and start getting action back here in North America. But in the meantime, I'd love to see WAL coming back, just so we could get some action here and our athletes don't always have to travel, that long flight over there, and just kind of even out the playing field. I also wanted to talk about, there's some matches coming up in the end of April at the Monster Factory. And one of those being Pavlo versus Ron Bath, right hand. What is your thoughts on that? Who's going to win that day?
I think Pavlo will win, just because he has that brute strength. Ron Bath has shocked us for decades. Like he's definitely like one of the legends. I just think Pavlo is that, like, so super strong. Maybe not as technical, but like I think Pavlo will beat Ron.
And now Artem is going to be going against Pavlo left hand. And I know Artem's from Florida, and I know you guys, you train every once in a while. What do you think on that? We've seen Artem put on a lot of size and a lot of mass as of recent. You think he has a shot against Pavlo left hand?
I hope so. I love Artem. He's been a friend of mine for so long. I'm so proud of him and what he's doing in the sport. But I think Pablo might be a little too much at this time.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is Pavlo's got a lot of weight on. He's probably got like 30, 40 pounds at least, even though that Artem has been sizing up. Another match that I want to talk about is Ryan Bowen versus Artem, right hand. How do you think that one goes? That one I think might be a very close one.
Yeah, I think so too. I have no idea where Ryan is at right now. I think he's active and he's training hard. He's putting on size and stuff. I don't know. He beat Chance that day, like what, 2-3 years ago. Can't sleep on Bowen.
That was the first super match I ever seen. I was right when I entered the sport. I believe it was like 3 years ago. And I remember watching in the garage. I seen you there. I remember Chance just wearing the pink cowboy hat and the pink flamingo shirt and all. And, he came out winning at the beginning. And then all of a sudden Ryan made a comeback, which it shocked me. I couldn't believe that. I was like, wow, that is pretty amazing. We know both athletes have leveled up a lot since then.
Definitely.
Another just couple of matches I want to talk about is the East versus West, and then I'll let you go. So I've had you on for a while now. And the first match I want to talk about is Irakli versus Ongarbayev. Who do you think gets the win that day?
So I spoke to Engin last week, and he asked me about the same match, and I told him I think Irakli's going to win just because I think Irakli – I mean, I know Ongarbayev is a freaking superstar in arm wrestling, and he's phenomenal. And I just think Irakli is an amazing freaking athlete too. Like he's killing it lately. Like he's so hungry for it. Like I follow him on Instagram, and like the lift he's trains with Levon, and I just feel like they are producing champions over there. I think Irakli will win. I'm not sure exactly how, but I just have faith that Irakli trained a little bit harder than Ongarbayev for this.
Yeah, that Georgian team is official. They are like the goon squad over there. There's so much power in that camp. But you got to also remember Ongarbayev is in Kazakhstan. He is like the Engin Terzi of Kazakhstan. He's a teacher. He's got a huge school out there. And he's like a technical wizard on the table. So I'm not even sure how that one's going to go. I'm just excited that we get to see that.
Yeah, right? Yeah, me too.
The other match I want to talk about is Brandon Elsessor. He's got his hand full against David Samushia. And this guy, David, has just been unstoppable in his weight category. We know that Brandon's making a major cut that day. Do you think Brandon has what it takes to surprise the world and beat David that day?
I don't. And here's why. I've only met Brandon once, and he came to Florida like a year ago, and everybody can have a bad day, but he lost the tournament that day. He lost against some people that he shouldn't have lost to. So that's the only reason I'm going to say that the other guy's going to win. So I haven't seen the steady climb from Brandon as I have, from the others. So that's my only reason why I'm saying this.
Okay. Now we got another match is Doug Elrich, and he's going against Daniel Prokopiuk. What is your thoughts on that?
That's a guy from Moldova. Yeah. I think he's. It's so hard because I don't know Doug and his style. I don't know him personally. I haven't followed him, so it's hard to say. But I've known the Moldovan guy for since I arm wrestled, 13 years ago. We went to the World Championships together. I've just seen him never stopping. for 17 years he has been going at it and with amazing results. So based off of that, I'm gonna say that he's gonna beat Doug.
Yeah, I don't know too much about Doug. I know he's been making waves of recent. I definitely want to get him on interview. He seems like a really cool guy. But just like you said, I got to meet Daniel at East vs. West 4 in person, and I couldn't believe he's a pretty small guy, and what a monster though on the table. And after that day, I started following his training, and I mean, the guy is just a genius when it comes to training. Everything, he lives the arm wrestling lifestyle. He seems to be another one that's kind of like the Engin Terzi of Moldova. He's like the head coach over there, and I watch him beating these big super heavyweights and making it look easy. And he's always got a little smile, smirk on his face. And it's just great to watch. I'm definitely a big fan of him. But like I said, I like Doug also. Doug seems like a very cool guy, and I'm wishing him the best that day. The last match I want to ask about is Paul Lynn versus Sasho.
Yeah, we talked about it last week too, me and Engin. I think it's going to be a war. I really want Paul Lynn to win, and he deserves it. He trains so hard. He has so much heart and passion. Sasho is so strong inside. Maybe based off experience, Sasho will beat Paul, but I think Paul can shock us and maybe get a couple wins in. That would be amazing. What he did to Rostam was incredible. Like, I even wrote I don't know Paul Lynn very well, but I even wrote a message to him and I said, "Damn, dude, like that was phenomenal. You're an amazing athlete, and I have so much respect for you. Like, good job." So that was cool.
Well, when I expect a war, we get to see really where Paul Lynn lies on the totem pole. And just like you said, he's been just killing it as of recent and really making a lot of waves. So I'll be rooting for him that day. I had him on my my Arm Wrestling Buzz show yesterday, and he was giving us a few of his pointers and the way he was training with RVJ, Brandon Elsesser. He was just with Jerry Catterett. So, I mean, he's traveling around putting in the work. So should make for a great match. Well, Sarah, I want to thank you for coming on. I really appreciate you giving me your time. And I'm really looking forward to get some training with you the next couple of months. And I wish you the best on everything with your mental health. And I hope encourage you that you can get yourself more out there and come the #1 ambassador for the female arm wrestling.
Awesome. Thank you so much for everything, Paul. It's awesome to be on your show.
Thank you, Sarah. I will talk to you soon.
All right. Take care. Bye.